Welcome to CHP Weight Loss Clinic. I'll be going through the beginnings of how to begin a weight loss program, and I'm Dr. Amy Neal. The purpose of this video is purely for education, is not intended for reproduction. I have no financial disclosures. Today we will review the beginnings of a weight loss program. I'll describe what a check-in is and how to do this on your own or with a team. I'll introduce myself. We'll review the definition of obesity. We will discuss some basics and history and why this is of such importance to you. I'll introduce the 4 pillars of obesity medicine and delve into our first topic, which will be exercise. This video will also give some healthy breakfast ideas. There will be a simple quiz at the end that we'll go through together. Future lectures that will be recorded here also are listed here. I'm Dr. Amy Neal. I'm board certified in family and obesity medicine, and I've been working for Capital Health Plan over the last 10 years, where I've taken care of many patients. In general, as part of a weight loss program, you want to see a psychologist and or psychiatry, as well as someone for nutrition and dietetics. It's just very important that we have all of those bases covered, as well as someone to specifically address exercise. These measures are a good way to track your progress. Your weight can be taken at home. Neck and waist circumference can also be good measurements for the clinic, or if you just hate the scale. Measure with the same tape measure each time. You want to measure at the Adam's apple and at the belly button are good landmarks. Blood pressure cuffs are also good for home use and can track weight changes. A resting heart rate can also be determined by checking your pulse at your wrist and counting 60 seconds. You want to be relaxing for about 10 minutes before you check it. You can also check a recovery heart rate, which is done exactly 10 minutes after some exercise. Sit or lay down for 10 minutes and then check your heart rate. Keep a log. Labs can also be useful. Several that we check regularly at our clinic are shown here on the screen. While it may not be much fun to think about what these values look like before you have begun your weight loss journey, it will become something that you are proud of over time and show how far you've come. For example, many people will discover that as the inches fall away, their blood sugar levels normalize, cholesterol panels look better, and inflammatory levels go back to normal. Okay, we're going to get right into definitions. Overweight and obesity are defined as abnormal excessive adipose tissue that accumulates and causes a risk to your health. We don't worry too much about it until we start having actual health concerns because of this. Waist circumference is another good way to measure your weight if you don't like the scale, or neck circumference is another good way of doing things. There's a lot of comorbidities that we commonly see with obesity. Diabetes, sleep apnea, heart failure, to name a few. Due to the fact that we see different comorbidities at different BMI levels for different ethnicities, there are different cutoffs for what we consider a risk to a person's health for different populations. I have found over the years, in speaking with patients, that obesity is commonly the elephant in the room. A person's weight is very important to them, but it's also very important to their health. And addressing it first as a primary issue and concern is very important for health. Before we get too far into talking about treatment, I want to go over a little bit about the history of obesity because I feel like it answers some of the questions about why we have a problem with obesity in the United States. We can see based on this graph that obesity is really a trend that began in the 80s. There was a lot of social change and upheaval that was occurring around that time. We got a lot of great music, but I think a lot of changes also occurred to our nutrition patterns, our work habits, how much time we spend in front of a computer every day, etc. This next slide shows the risk for all-cause mortality and morbidity associated with carrying excess weight. Please note this slide, we have no history of any other disease. Men are in blue on the left and women are in red on the right. As BMI crosses over into the 40 range, we see rates of death at 2 to 4 times as high for men and at least twofold for women. Studying this graph will also give us an idea where we may hope to get our BMI over time. This next slide shows different ailments or illnesses that are partially caused by obesity or worsened by obesity. Top on the list is type 2 diabetes, sleep apnea, high blood pressure also is very weight dependent. High cholesterol, different types of cancer are also very dependent on weight. Venous stasis, congestive heart failure, coronary artery disease, knee and back arthritis. There's just numerous reasons to work on weight. And the good news is that a lot of these parameters and risk factors will decrease and improve as a person's weight goes down. I can't stress the importance of this next slide enough. It is important to understand that obesity as a condition is not your fault. For example, a child with one obese parent has a 50% increased risk of being obese as an adult. When both parents are obese, their children have an 80% chance of suffering from weight problems as an adult. 2.8-fold risk of obesity if a baby is large for gestational age when they're born or has a mom with gestational diabetes. There's a 22% reduction in lifetime chance of obesity with breastfeeding. 1.5-fold increased risk for experiencing early childhood trauma, which happens to 1 in 6 children. 1 serving of fruit juice a day increases the risk of obesity. Screen time more than 2 hours is associated with 67% increase in risk of obesity, and removing it improves rates. Eating ultra-processed food can also be a cause. An Australian study showed that 61% chance of developing obesity if the super-processed foods are eaten regularly. British medical journal Gut Magazine did a retrospective analysis of more than 333,000 children in the U.S. military system and found that antibiotics consumed in the first 2 years of life were associated with a 26% heightened risk of obesity by the age of 3. Certain other medications also probably caused obesity. Eating disorders often play a role, depending on the demographic, wealth, poverty, can be protective or risk factors. Perceptive stress can also play a big role in a person's weight. I won't get too much into this slide, but I did want to mention that the cost of obesity for the American healthcare system is astronomical. We're talking trillions of dollars, as you can see here, at least billions, even if this is an overestimation. If we were to just get people back to a normal BMI, this would be the estimated savings, according to at least one calculation. The treatment of obesity. This is a big money industry in America. Healthcare, we spend $190 billion, or nearly 21% of the annual medical spending in the U.S. Childhood obesity alone is responsible for $14 billion in direct costs. In 2018, the U.S. total weight loss market grew an estimated 4%, from $69 billion to $72 billion. The total market is forecast to grow 2.6% annually through 2023. What I also wanted to go through is the America's Biggest Loser data at 6 years. This is a concerning finding. Is I think we've all heard about the America's Biggest Losers. It's the competition where people start out overweight and then they do diet and exercise and then they're presented at the end of their challenge. And what they looked at is how are these people doing at 6 years? And what shocked the researchers is what happened next. As the years went by and the numbers on the scale climbed, the contestants' metabolism did not recover. It was as if their bodies were intensifying the efforts to pull the contestants back to their original weight.
And this is the yo-yo effect that we see in America. That's what the data is here on the far right corner of the slide. We can see that some people did succeed and they continued to lose weight. Many maintained it, but a lot of the contestants gained their weight back. And we'll talk about what happened there in a few minutes. All right, so what works? You know, we know the causes a little bit about it. We know the history here. What really makes a difference, what evidence has shown, is that people who lost 10% or more of their body weight and kept it off at 5 to 10 years, a lot of it was activity, diet restraint or food logging, frequent self-weighing, and or doing measurements, and meal timing, cognitive behavioral therapy, certainly addressing any eating disorders that are out there, certain motivational interviewing techniques, family and group support makes a big difference. I wrote down NEAT exercise here, which means non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So something you're doing that's not exercise that also just gets you more activity and steps in a day. Weight training makes a difference, yoga, reducing screen time, because if you're not doing screen time, you're probably doing something else. Certain medications can make a big difference. Treating sleep apnea can also be very useful. Maybe certain vitamins, maybe not, depending. And certainly surgeries have proven to be very helpful.
These are the 4 pillars of obesity medicine, how they're divided by the Obesity Medicine Association. Today we're going to be talking about physical activity, and in future lectures we're going to talk about nutrition, medicine, and behavioral changes.
Physical activity. So what works the best? Walking is king because we can do it anywhere, anytime, any place. Doesn't have to be a large walk, a long walk. Doesn't have to necessarily be a certain speed, but just any kind of walking. Aerobic activity is wonderful. We want to try and shoot for about 60 minutes, 5 days a week. Aerobic plus resistance is very good for maintaining weight loss. We see this pretty consistently in the study with the America's Biggest Losers. It was the people who were doing aerobic plus resistance and maintain their exercise after the study was done that were able to actually maintain their weight loss. Balance, flexibility, strength, and endurance also play a big role in just helping us feel better, reducing fall risk, injuries, and of course can just be rewarding of their own merits.
Whatever you're going to pick for your exercise, it should be maintainable. The best way to make sure it's something that's maintainable is to make sure that it is fun and something that you actually enjoy doing. Good exercise should build up your endorphins, it should decrease your blood pressure, stress levels, it should improve your sleep. It actually improves your skin elasticity. We know that as people lose weight, sometimes their skin gets a little saggy, and the more you're exercising, the less that's going to happen. It actually reduces the wrinkles on your face. And it improves your energy levels. I hear a lot of times that people are too tired to exercise, but it is sort of strange and magic, but exercise actually increases your energy levels. There are many places to exercise and many ideas for how to get some extra help with exercise. Often we'd like the assistance of a trainer, coach, or just need the motivation from a class or friend to be a workout partner so we get that accountability. Think about your style and what might work best for you. You may also want to look into a new exercise if you're bored or are working around an injury. For example, YouTube is a great resource for Tai Chi videos, and Amazon Prime has numerous free yoga videos and other workout videos for free. Fitness trackers can also make logging exercise and monitoring it easier. You may already have some of this technology if you have an Apple Watch or a smartwatch, or even an Apple phone that will count your steps throughout the day. Sometimes The biggest hurdle is just getting things set up, but once they are set up, it should make your life a lot easier. If you want to manage something, it is very important to measure it. Okay, so let's talk about setting a reasonable exercise goal for yourself for today, tomorrow, or this week. It depends on where you're at now. Are you already exercising? What is your fitness level? What is your comfort zone? Do you want to start taking short walks, reduce screen time, stand instead of sit, take an activity break throughout the day instead of taking a snack break or a bathroom break? Or are we going to keep doing something you're already doing well? For example, we could take a SMART goal. We want it to be specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based. We're going to go over this a little bit more in other sections, but I want to start walking or marching in place. I'm going to do that 10 minutes, 4 days a week. I'm going to create a place to track it on my phone, or I'm going to write it down on a napkin here in my office. We're going to make it easy to fit into the schedule. You could do that even on a busy day. It should be relevant. That is going to make a difference. Just that 10 minutes, 4 days a week, and only 1 week at a time, right? So we're going to spell out that we're just doing this for this week. I'm not saying I'm doing this for the whole rest of my life or the year, just a very specific time frame. And then you're going to check your status midweek. How am I doing? Am I reaching my goals? If I'm not, why is that? Okay, this is the sample exercise program that just includes some aerobic type exercise. You can pause the slide here if you want to use this, write it down. It is from the Cleveland Clinic. It shows how you can slowly increase your minutes that you're exercising to avoid injury and allow your body to acclimate to the new activity. You again want to check your heart rate maybe 10 minutes after your workout and see what your recovery heart rate is. Again, you're checking just at your wrist, right under the thumb is a good place to check that. In general, lower is better, and you can watch it drop as the weeks go by and you become more fit. The next slide talks about resistance training. Again, this is from Cleveland Clinic, and it just is specifically talking about some sort of weight training, okay? So this could be bicep curls, this could be tricep curls, it might be some squats or lunges. If you struggle with what those movements are, I would work with a personal fitness trainer, or a physical therapist can oftentimes set up a program and make sure that you're doing it correctly from the beginning, especially if you're going to do something like a deadlift, to make sure that you're lifting correctly and you're not going to injure your back or something else. All right, and then finally, this plan puts everything together. We can see on Monday, we begin with 10 minutes of walking and maybe a round of balance exercises, something like yoga or Tai Chi would be good. On Tuesday, we're doing 10 more minutes of walking and maybe biking, and then some flexibility work, a gentle stretching and breathing session. Each session can be 5 to 10 minutes in the beginning weeks, or if you're just running short on time on a given day. Minutes can be totaled all together. For example, if I'm supposed to get 40 minutes of aerobic exercise in a day, I can walk 10 minutes in the morning, do 3 5-minute activity breaks throughout the day, and then get in 15 minutes of dancing in my living room, which is just a total of 3 songs. The goal is to get 200 to 350 minutes per week. The reason for that 200 to 350 minute goal is because evidence shows over and over that people who are getting that level of exercise are able to keep off weight and maintain their weight a lot better than people who don't. Okay, so we've seen some sample schedules. Now we're ready to really make it happen. So this is about getting everything that you need to actually get the exercise going right when you get home or when you have a few minutes to do it. Get dressed to exercise, right? So go ahead, and if you're in your workout clothes, you're much more likely to actually do that workout that day. Go ahead and put on your good shoes. If you need new shoes, go ahead and get those items. You want to bring your smile. That's probably the most important ingredient in a good workout. You want to be listening to music if you can. Most people find that relaxing and it makes it much more enjoyable. Maybe enlist the help of a friend or family member. If you're thinking about a class, then go ahead and join one. It's a good way to find an exercise partner if you don't already have one. And it gets you that accountability. There's a lot of free classes online on YouTube, Amazon Prime, but also the City of Tallahassee is a great resource for exercise classes. The Senior Center has a lot of classes that are not necessarily age ranked. There's a lot of church groups in town that have good resources as well. Take a little time in the beginning and make sure that you're really doing your exercise appropriately and correctly. If it's causing pain, that's a good sign you're not doing it right. So let that be a big signal to go ahead and seek the help of a trainer or a physical therapist who can watch you do the movement and make sure that you're doing it correctly. It's also important to remember that you can do whatever you want to do. If you, in your mind, think that you would like to begin doing a yoga program and learn to do that really well, there's no reason why you can't do that. It's just a matter of starting somewhere and realizing that big goals are a lot of very little goals added up over time. If you struggle with internal negative talk, or if you're just trying to get yourself out the door one day, one powerful tool can be to just count down from 5 to 1. So if you find yourself wanting to sit on the couch or you're like, oh, I'm really tired today, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then get up and move. You have to move in the direction that you're trying to go in, that that you really want to go ahead and put your shoes on and go outside, or get yourself in the car and get to the exercise class. That internal counting can be very helpful because it's making you think from the logical part of your brain instead of the emotional part of your brain. Okay, we're going to change gears. I'm going to give you a quick couple breakfast ideas and tips. These are some ideas I've gotten over the years from MyFitnessPal. They're a free app. They're run by Under Armour, so there are some advertisements, but they have a very good nutrition blog. So here's some breakfast burritos that could be made a day or two in advance. It might double as a good snack or other meal, so like a lunch. There's a mushroom cheddar omelet with some fresh greens. That's another great breakfast that brings in protein, fat, healthy, fiber-rich, vitamin-packed, as well as a couple carbohydrates. Overnight protein apple cinnamon oats are another common, healthy, but very fast and easy breakfast idea. There are some websites. Again, on the MyFitnessPal blog is a very good one that you can just Google MyFitnessPal protein breakfast ideas and you'll come up with some good results. This is a list of my references. Okay, we're ready for our quiz. What are the 4 pillars of obesity treatment? Answer: exercise, nutrition, behavior, and medicine. Quiz question number 2. Which is a habit people who maintain weight loss do regularly? A, exercise regularly. B, ignore the scale. C, stick with one specific diet. Or D, eat breakfast in bed. The answer is A. All right. What is the king of exercise for weight loss? Answer: walking or aerobics. All right, the next question is the most important, which is which exercise goal will you set this week? Answer: depends on you.
That's it for this lecture. Please check in soon for the remaining lectures. I'm wishing you the best of success and a healthy future. With the right tools and information, you can absolutely succeed and attain a healthier weight. Remember, you can do anything that you want to do. Thank you.